guys. Good afternoon again. So, I'm going to present a bit of a controversial topic, which is AV is dead. But is AV dead? Well, actually, this has started a few years ago when the software security industry was bombarded with nags from different companies that saying their AVs are gone. But is it really gone? You know, time and time again, we always hear that a new software security company developed this technology that can stop malware for good. Not only the makers of operating systems like Windows, traditional security companies like McAfee or Kaspersky, and new security firms are actually making cutting-edge technology to stop these threats. But sadly, time and time again, the malware always thwarts their efforts. This research that I'm about to present to you is actually displays the ping-pong battle between the software security companies and the malware author, or you can call them threat actors. And this case will show that there is no single technology that can catch all of the cyber threats out there in the internet. And what are the dangers of thinking that AV or any other technology for that matter is dead? To give you the short answer, what I think is it's not. It's not dead. But if I just say my opinion, I'll be another person, but without data, I'll be just another person with opinion. So I'm going to present what we have researched over these past months and some data to actually not convince you, show you, but to show you what the result of our research is. Fred Cohen on 1987 said that there is no algorithm that can perfectly detect all possible viruses. It holds true back in 1980s, and up until now, I believe it still holds true. Just for the basics, for the ones who are non-tech savvy, virus is actually an executable piece of code that has the capability to replicate and attach itself to a target file. I think the IT professionals will be familiar with this scenario. How often do you hear your relatives or your family saying that, could you please take a look at my computer? I think it has a virus on it. What he generally means is not actually a virus, but the malware. Malware is actually the general term. It denotes malicious software, thus malware. And it includes worms, trojans, but not limited, ransomware, and also viruses. Sadly, there's a misconception on the term viruses and malware. So the main purpose of my presentation is to answer three questions: the who, the why, and the what. So who are the ones who are saying that AV is dead? Why are they saying it? And what can we learn from all of this? And that's our agenda. Hopefully, these historic malware facts that I'm about to display will be able to answer why those people are saying that AV is dead, and the proactive development of new weapons to answer the who, and being opinionated on data, hopefully will answer the what. And then we'll summarize. First, allow me to address a common misconception in the term AV. As I've explained, people are so used to the term viruses that they have this preconceived notion that if I get infected with a virus, I need an antivirus to remove it. But if I'm going to be a wise ass and correct them, I'll probably say what you're using right now is anti-malware or internet security. That's a general term. And actually, I could say that it's partly fault of the marketing of the companies, the antivirus companies themselves, because the way how they market the term antivirus. just to show up, it was actually developed antivirus during the 1980s, and we're actually at a war. You may wonder why a never-ending war. I'm just like, am I just over-exaggerating things? Take a look at this picture, and it actually summarizes the technology between the battle between malware and software security companies. First, during the 1980s, there were viruses, worms, trojans. What they employed, technology are encryption, polymorphism, metamorphism, hacking, armoring, protectors, anti-emulation, anti-debug. We need to explain, after this slide, we'll tackle several choice technologies and we'll dig a bit deeper. So bear with me for a while. The security industry responded with signature-based detections, hashes, heuristic emulation, intelligence scanning, and generic unpacking. Then, the rootkits and exploit appeared, botnets, vulnerability exploitation, dormancy, and stealth. Then the security industry responded with behavioral analysis to thwart those technologies developed by malware offers. Virtualized environments, data solutions, clouds, we have clouds, anti-rootkits. And around the middle of 2000 and 2010, if I can remember correctly, hijacker, adware, spyware, rogue AV appeared on the internet. They became rampant. And the EULA, the most controversial EULA, wherein if you accept it, you're essentially allowing the malware to be installed in your computer and follow the gray suits, the grayware. Social engineering, these are not actually technologies, but they were used by malware to gain leverage over their battle. Stolen digital signatures, ransomware these days, it's becoming more and more famous. APTs, fast locks, rapid variance generation. Rapid variance generation is the one wherein within a second, the malware author or the threat actors can actually produce 1,000 variants of the same malware. More laser-focused targeted attacks. And memory protection, security responded with memory protection, machine learning, data mining, and anomaly-based detection. Anomaly-based detection is kind of like what Sir Wilson presented. It's more on predictive analysis. And the next gen. So let's take an example. This is actually a very simple virus. It belongs to the category small. The exact name is 1365. It replicates itself and attaches itself to a target file. And this simple virus can actually be caught using this detection. So this is a simple detection. It's more like an algorithm. Go to the entry point, get the match exact, hex match exact, and then return infected. That's the most basic signature-based detection that was used during the first era of the antivirus. But how did the malware author respond to that? They responded using encryption, polymorphism. Polymorphism is it's more like a different variant or a different looking malware will be produced on each iteration, each generation. Now, the virus that was caught using that particular signature will not be caught if this is a polymorphic or metamorphic virus. And let's not end there. The antivirus industry responded using heuristic-based signature detections, emulation, intelligence scanning, AV engines, and they can now remove the garbage codes and produce the actual malicious code. And again, malware authors responded back using anti-emulation and techniques such as infinite loops to avoid emulation. Sorry. Okay. So heuristic-based detection are signature detection that we use nowadays. This is the basic functionality of our EV or AMs these days. The usual heuristic signature can catch between hundreds to a thousand samples. And we know for few, uh, I think the authors are here, the signature authors, that can catch million samples within one heuristic signature. But those are few and rare because the difficulty on correlating a million samples to get what's common between them is rather difficult. Let's take a more recent example. This is actually a sandbox. Uh, I remember back in 2008 when the sandbox technology was so expensive. I think, if I remember correctly, it was around $20,000 for the sandbox. I'm not promoting our sandbox, the Sunbelt sandbox, and I'm not even an employee of Sunbelt at that time. So the sandbox architecture works like this. You input a sample to be basic is you input a sample, that system will analyze the sample and produce behavior, and the system will decide if the behavior is malicious or not. This was still done in 2008. And again, the malware author responding by implementing sandbox techniques and ways to know that if the system it is executing on is a real machine and not a virtualized one. I remember a particular malware that I reversed is back in around 2012. I received a malware sample and it was not generating any behavior in the sandbox. So when I take a closer look at it, using reverse engineering, I found out that it was trying to look for a sound card. So using virtualized environment, companies are trying to reduce the ones that are installed inside the OS so it can achieve more performance and efficiency. So by trying to detect if a system has a sound card, it may know that it's not executing in a real machine. Another example, more recent one is back in 2013. I remember a PageHunt APT, and the most noticeable feature of that APT is that it can detect mouse clicks. So if it's running on a machine that is not doing mouse clicks, so it's thinking that it's running on a virtualized environment, so it's not running on a human machine. So there are actually, what I've mentioned, those are very few techniques that are out there compared, that are out there. There are so many anti-sandbox techniques. And let's take another example, the rootkits. Rootkits, their primary purpose is stealth. And these are the invisible malware. The ones you cannot see on your file explorers or process explorers. And around that time, I think that was around 2009, Microsoft implemented PatchGuard, and it implements code integrity policy, which prevents unsigned kernel mode drivers from loading. And it protected several critical system tables in order for the rootkits to prevent the rootkits from installing. That's how the rootkits work. They modify the system table and then they hook the API so they can get invisible. They will be invisible. So then TDL4 came. I remember back in ROOTCON 5, this is my talk, the TDL4. Back in that year, it was the most sophisticated rootkit available. I'll just be brief on this. I stole 3 slides on my presentation back in 2005. So 2% NDR is actually the master boot record. This is the first code when you boot your PC that will be loaded. And to illustrate the normal boot sequence of Windows 7 64-bit is like this. It will load the MBR, and it loads the VBR, which is the volume boot record, and the VBR loads the boot manager. This is an overly simplified flowchart of the boot sequence. Boot manager is the BCD, which is boot configuration data, and it either loads load or version the exit. So, the BCD option is that option in the Hive disables kernel mode integrity checks. And then window.exe initializes code integrity policy and loads the kernel and its dependencies like HAL, KDCOM, and boot. And then, if ever you're using a kernel debugger, it will initialize that debugger. So that's how the normal boot process works. So how did TDL4 manage to subvert the patch drive technology of Microsoft? So it loaded the infected NPR by first leveraging privilege escalation. It used an exploit to be able to write to the NPR. And once it writes to the NPR, it will force a restart, the SOD. And it loads the LDR16, the NPR, the infected NPR will load the LDR16, hooks in 13. In 13, actually wait for KDCOM to be loaded, and then replace the image of it in memory with LDR13. And then the normal ones, it will load the DVR and boot manager. And then once the BCP registry is modified, the WinPE mode will now be activated, and the code integrity check is disabled. Loads the kernel dependencies. And LDR32 and 64 contains the same functions on the original KDCOM.dll, but only one function has values, meaning it has code. The other are dummies and returns 0. So why KDCOM.dll? It's the one that is initialized and is called by system to initialize system debugger, kernel debuggers. And again, kernel debugger disabled, you will not be able to debug TDL4. DRV32 64, the rootkit's main component, will be loaded, and Windows will load as if nothing happened. You got it now. So that's how TDL4 will work. So, So, to summarize all that up, I think we're that's another word. We are essentially going in circles, and sadly, the software security industry is always on their active side. This is a quote I got from reading the blood from Peter. I'll just read it to you. We improve only after our adversaries defeat our defenses. Most software is still riddled with vulnerabilities, but the vendors typically make no move to fix one until it becomes publicly disclosed. Okay, so who are the ones? Let's answer this. Who are the ones who are saying that AV is dead? People who have limited knowledge on this subject. Possibly irate victims of malware attacks. When you get victimized, especially with the ransomware, you'll become irate and say that, yeah, AV is dead, it's useless. People who have other integrity, financial gain, possibly ego, they want revenge. Or they are marketing a new technology. The next gen ones. Back in 2008 and 2004, there were big companies that mentioned, or they were quoted saying, in essence, the essence of their quote, is AV is not sufficient anymore. So it came from that. So imagine big companies, software security companies saying that AV is dead. So people follow. But you probably ask, this next gen security they're talking about, for example, they're going to release a new product. So if they're so confident in saying that AV is dead, maybe it's good as it is. Maybe. Maybe the next gen will be able to stop all of the malware from victimizing us. Maybe. And maybe it can totally replace our AV. Possibly. But the answer is actually yes, it can. But not now. Probably it will, not now. But the problem on the thing that they're saying is it safe to say that this technology is dead? Or is it safe to say that this particular technology will solve all of our malware problems? I'm a researcher, and I love reversing software. It's my passion. So let's just say, in my imagination, I was able to reverse a particular next-gen application. And I can say the name, because probably I'll get jailed. And besides, it's just my imagination. And until I send the proper notification to the makers of the product, I cannot publicly disclose it. So let's just say that by reversing this particular next gen, I was able to get their technology. It would probably look like this. So sample, we have a sample. It enters the blue area, it enters the endpoint. So they have this pre-filtering mechanism using whitelisting and metadata confidence. Whitelisting is actually a technology that gathers all of the known good applications, list of them, hashes. And the metadata confidence, who among you know about Microsoft's clean file metadata initiative? Anyone? So it works like Microsoft's clean file metadata initiative, wherein they have this database of metadata. For example, CubExe. Every iteration of every release of CubExe on Windows, they have the hash. They have the original date. They have the, what else? Whatever, the metadata they have. So if ever malware would come posing as a Windows, a valid Windows application, and malware like to do that. They like to do that a lot. This metadata confidence will be able to catch it. So the red arrows indicate the bad part, indicating that this particular next-gen software was able to detect it, pre-filtering, and then send it to a parallel pipe. And using behavioral analysis, almost similar to a sandbox, it will analyze the executable or whatever the script, and then produce if it indeed performs some malicious behavior. So the another one is the other pipe leads to the memory space. It's as if it continued executing, it's running, but there's a continuous check for anomalous behavior. So let's just say that for the sake of research, if I was an attacker, I would create a malware to bypass this. How would I do this in my imagination? Avoid known names or Microsoft system files. Use sandbox techniques, anti-sandbox techniques to defeat the behavioral analysis. I've discussed some anti-sandbox techniques. Stay dormant, don't use ones that will trigger the sandbox trap. And the most difficult one is use trial and error. Actually, this is the one that consumed most of the time in my imagination. So, the reason why I show this to you is I would like to challenge the ones saying that their technology would capture 100% of the model. and I'm challenging my company too, and they're actually irritated with me. So it's not to prove my point, because this point has been proven with a lot of researchers before this law. And please don't say that I hate this next-gen malware, because I really love their technology. If I had the money to buy it, I would probably buy it. And imagine this, I'm just a researcher with no financial motivation, probably my job. But I would get millions of dollars by reversing this and spreading this malware. But imagine the threat actors who would benefit from this, who would get millions of dollars. This data actually shows that up until now, starting in 2009 up until 2015, most of the threat actors are still financially driven. But the numbers for espionage, the red one, are gaining movement. This shows the detection rates for protected and unprotected computer. As I've said, if I just say that, yeah, go ahead, use AV to protect yourself. But if I didn't have the data to prove it to you, probably you just say that's just my opinion. So this is the data I gathered from the 2015 Microsoft Security Intelligence Report. And they are the ones, I believe, let me just say this, I know some of you hate Microsoft, but I believe that they are the ones who are most capable of providing us with this data, because many users are Windows users. So the recent releases of the MSRP collect and report details about the state of real-time anti-malware software on a computer. If the computer's administrator has chosen to opt to provide this data to Microsoft, it will be possible to correlate the attacks with the data that they have. So that's how they arrive with this data. So this graph basically tells us that if you have a software, antivirus or anti-malware software in your computer, you are less likely 2.7 to 5.6% times likely to get infected with malware. Imagine, there's so many malware out there, 500 million based on Symantec, Kaspersky, 600 million. On our database alone, 150 million. So what are the chances of you getting infected? These are just codes that I took notice. Antivirus will protect you from the ever-increasing percentage of malware that's specifically designed to bypass antivirus software. But it will protect you from random and sophisticated attacks out there. The background radiation of the internet makes sense. In an era where anti-malware labs process hundreds of thousands of samples a day, my colleagues from Trend Micro and GData probably will be able to relate to this. Failure to realize the significance of a vanishingly small set of stealthy, low-prevalence samples, however great their subsequent impact, while hardly describable as a success, is as hardly a spectacular failure in statistical terms. To sum it up, even 20% protection is better than none. Would you agree? So, what can we learn from all of this? AV and AM has evolved too. Malware has evolved, technology, using the thinking barrier. I was not too fast about it. And hash, blacklist, whitelisting, smart patterns, heuristics are the basic functionalities that our AVs use these days. And most of all, good security does not rely on a single technology for detection. I hope I have proven my point using my imagination that any technology will be able, the threat actors will be able to crack it, however difficult it is. Well, depending on the feasibility of cracking the technology itself. Multi-layered security is the right approach. These are just some of the examples of a good multi-layered security. Have a good endpoint, a good network-based security. Backups, don't be a wise ass. Back up your data. You need to back up your data, especially your pictures. They're most valuable. And however pain in the ass it's, you have to update your system. You have to update your Windows. And update yours. If you ever have your antivirus or anti-malware, update them. Secure your channels, use BGP or whatever, the ones that Sir talked about. And last but not the least, don't overdo it. Don't come to me saying that I installed an antivirus in my system, why I got detected. Remember that that's not commutative. It doesn't mean that particular, for example, engine 1 detects 90%, engine 2 detects another 90%, that you will have 180% of protection. It doesn't work like that. And consider whether you want to base your security strategy on a PR exercise, as I have hopefully illustrated, based on a statical misinterpretation and misunderstanding. Don't be too optimistic on finding the one true and probably generic solution. Look for a combination of solutions that give you the best coverage at a price you can afford. This principle applies to home users too. The right free antivirus is a lot better than not.